Hello guys. Yes, this is the third portion of our ratio in medtech laws and bioethics. And last time we were able to finish. Yes, we were able to finish something. Okay, ano yung na-finish natin? Clinical laboratory law. So from this part, I will start from your PRC Modernization Act of 2000. Okay, so remember that your PRC Modernization Act of 2000, so it contains 21 sections and it was signed into law on December 5, 2000. Okay, so December 5, 2000. All right, so let's start with, of course, the composition of your PRC. I think this is a very classic question in the board exam. So kung titignan natin yung about sa PRC questions regarding PRC, konti lang naman talaga ang tinatanong dyan. Ano yung mga tinatanong dyan? PRC composition. Okay, what else? The qualification of your chairperson and your commissioners. Yung mga yan. Ano pa? With regards to your, anong pangalan nun? Renewal, okay, of license, ilan ang kailangan na CPD units, so on and so forth. So that's why for this particular law, you have to review it together with your CPD law. Okay, although ang tinatanong lang naman pag CPD law is ilang units ang kailangan ng isang medtech in order to renew his or her license. Okay, and then later na lang. Okay, later na lang. Later, i-explain ko yon. Alright. PRC composition, so this is found in what section? So again, bakit ko sinasabi yung iba-ibang sections? Para makita nyo agad. Okay, yes. So we have section 4 of your RA 8981. Yes, so you would be able to see there composition of your PRC. So take note that for your composition, okay, section 4, Republic Act 8981. Wait. Okay, ayan. So PRC composition po, it should be headed by one full-time chairperson and then 2 full-time commissioners. So remember that all appointees of your PRC, of course, they will be appointed by the president. And if you're going to look at the tenure of office, we have 7 years. Okay, 7 years as their tenure of office. So for the qualifications, okay, for the qualifications of your PRC, chairperson and the commissioners, qualification, they have to be 40 years old. That's number 1. And of course, they have to be professionals. Diba? Mag-head ka or ma-appoint ka sa PRC, tas di ka professional. Okay? Diba? Okay. So, dapat professional ka. Pag sinabi natin professional, you should have a valid certificate of registration or professional license. So, of course, your PRC ID or your professional identification card should be valid also. If, for example, wala ka nung mga yon, then you should have a valid certificate of competency. Okay? So, aside from being a professional, which may be proven by these different documents, another qualification for your PRC, we have 5 years of executive or management experience. Okay, so 5 years of executive or management experience. Provided, nakalagay doon, bench. Okay, nakalagay po doon, doon sa huli ng section 4, provided, sabi niya doon, one of the commissioners must be a past chairperson or member of a professional regulatory board. Okay, yes. Guys, pag sinabi nating professional regulatory board, ang counterpart niyan sa medtech ay yung Board of Medical Technology. Board of Examiners of Medical Technology. So yung board natin, ang tawag actually sa kanya na dapat is Professional Regulatory Board. So all professions, okay? So all courses na merong licensure exams, in which magiging professional yung mga examinees natin, meron silang kanya-kanyang professional regulatory board. So like for example, ang medtech, meron tayong sariling board. Ang civil engineering, may sariling board. Ang nursing, may sariling board. So on and so forth. So lahat po ng profession ay merong kanya-kanyang professional regulatory board. Just like the board of examiners that we have in medical technology. Okay? So yan. Okay, next question. Who shall temporarily assume and perform the duties of the PRC chairperson in case his or her term expires? All right, so this is still found in your section 4. So according to section 4, the most senior of the commissioners shall temporarily assume and perform the duties and functions of the chairperson. Yes, bakit hindi pwedeng commissioner appointed by the president? Because remember that by virtue of appointment by the president, it's no longer temporary. Okay, yes. So you have to take note of the term here that was utilized in the question, temporarily assume. Yung inappoint ba ni president, temporary ba? Hindi. Okay, hindi naman siya OIC kumbaga. Kasi siya na yung magiging chairperson talaga. Okay, yes. So if it is by virtue of appointment by the president, then it is not temporary. Okay, so yan. So that's why the answer for this item, the most senior commissioner. Because we are talking about temporarily assuming and performing the duties of a PRC chairperson. Okay? Next question. Disinstitutionalized. Ito din, parang ano to classic ito sa board exam. Disinstitutionalized the full computerization of the licensure examinations administered by the various regulatory boards. Okay, sabi ko nga, bawat profession may kanya-kanyang board yan under the supervision of the PRC. So all boards are under the supervision of your PRC. Okay? So actually, ang tagal-tagal na nito, yung full computerization of the licensure examination. So this is by virtue of Executive Order number 200. Okay? So Executive Order number 200. So this was approved on September 20, 1994. So si Fidel Ramos pa ang, tama ba ako? Yeah, 19 hanggang 1994 yata siya eh. Si Fidel V. Ramos pa ang, ano pangalan nito? Ang president nito. Okay? And then aside sa Executive Order number 200, ang isa pang tinatanong when it comes to the full computerization of your licensure exams would be the year of effectivity. Okay? So kailan ang year of effectivity ng Executive Order number 200? It's still 1994. Okay? Why 1994? Because one of the sections, particularly if you're going to read section 3 of your Executive Order number 200, it says there that your EO 200 shall take effect immediately. Okay, yes. So it shall take effect immediately. So that means dapat ang PRC gumawa na siya agad ng paraan so that full computerization of your licensure examination, ang daming S kasi okay? Full computerization of your licensure examination ay ma-implement na. Okay? What is the rationale behind this? Bakit kailangan computerize? So remember that isa sa mga rationale na naibigay, okay, as to the computerization is the fact that utilization of your computers and information technology can considerably enhance, sabi niya doon, the efficient and effective administration of licensure examinations, including measures to protect the integrity of the examination process and the expeditious, sabi niya, release of your results para mapadali yung release din ng results. Alright. O baka mamaya inisip natin, computerization pero face-to-face naman yung mga exams. Okay? So dapat alam din natin ano bang ibig sabihin pag sinabi mong full computerization. Ibig sabihin ba niyan ay magte-take na tayo ng board exams online? Okay. Ano ito? Flexible learning approach? Hindi po ganun ha. Okay. Pag sinabi mong full computerization, yes. By virtue of Section 2 of your Executive Order number 200, nakalagay po doon that PRC, together with their professional regulatory boards, shall issue guidelines to implement the following. Okay? Implement the computerization of the following. Coming up with your examination objectives, standards, and nature. What else? Establishment and operation of a computerized, computerized test bank. So pag sinasabi ng mga reviewers natin or ng mga CIs natin, ay nako, alam nyo, yung mga PRC na yan, may test bank sila. Meron kasi talaga silang test bank. Okay, so they are actually mandated to have a computerized test bank by virtue of Executive Order number 200. O kung ibig sabihin may test bank sila, pwede kayang maulit yung mga tanong? Yes, yes, okay, pwedeng maulit ang tanong. Okay, kaya nga, 'di ba? Pag mga review sessions, ine-emphasize nila kung alin na yung naibigay na sa board exam. Okay, kasi may test bank nga ang PRC. Okay, so aside from that, dapat computerized din daw ang pag-correct. Correction of test paper and grading, deliberating, decoding, and release of test results through your computers or through computers. Okay, so that's why, di ba ngayon, pag nag-aabang ng result ng, say for example, Medtech licensure exam, di ba nakaabang lang tayo sa website ng PRC, okay, kasi they are mandated to do that by virtue of EO 200. Alright, so kung titignan natin yung mga aspects of full computerization, wala namang nakalagay doon na dapat online tayong mag-take. Meron bang nakalagay? Sinabi ba doon? That licensure examination should be administered online or through the use of computers. Wala naman pong nakalagay. Okay, walang nakalagay. Yes. So hanggang ngayon, face-to-face pa rin ang ating mga examinations. Okay? Take note ha na ang wala lang, share ko lang. Hindi naman tayo concerned, pero wala, gusto ko lang share. Ang bar examination, hindi yan under ng PRC. Hindi PRC ang nagbibigay ng bar. Kasi baka mamaya isipin nyo, bakit yung PRC mano-mano na, ay PRC tuloy, bakit pag bar exam, mano-mano ang pag-check? Kasi di ba essay questions sila, right? So they are given cases and they have to argue the cases. So ganun pag bar exam. So anyway, kung gusto nyo lang namang maging attorney in the future, ganun po ang kanilang bar, okay, examinations. It is not under PRC po, ang bar examinations. Okay, yes. All right, next question. An employee of the PRC has been found out to be involved in manipulating the licensure examination results for medical technologists. Which of the following penalties are applicable in this case? Okay, so isa-isahin natin yung mga penalty. So ano ang hinahanap dito? Yung penalty. Tama? So ano yung correct? Yung penalty. Tama, ayan. So you would be able to see penalties in your section. Tama, section 15. Okay, section 15, penalties for the manipulation and other corrupt practices in the conduct of professional examinations. Okay, so nagmanipulate ka or nag-rig ka ng licensure examination results. Or ano pa ba yung mga pwedeng offenses under section 5. You secretly inform or makes known licensure examination questions. So nag-leak ka ng mga tanong, okay, prior to the conduct of the examination. Or iniba mo yung rating ng isang examinee. Pinasa mo siya, okay? Or binagsak mo siya kasi masama ang loob mo sa kanya, ganyan. So those are offenses which are penalized under Section 15 of your 8981. So what are the penalties? Ano yung mga penalties po? Imprisonment. Okay, so syempre pwede kang makulong. Imprisonment. Imprisonment, sa mga batas kasi natin, minsan, ang arte nilang maglagay ng mga years of imprisonment, ganyan, mga fines. But you just have to make it simple, okay? Para at least hindi ka mahirapang i-memorize, okay? So like for example, for imprisonment, if I'm not mistaken, ang nakalagay dun is parang not lower than, parang may mga ganun siya, di ba? Not lower than ganito, or it should not exceed ganito. Okay? So you just have to get the range para hindi ka nahihirapang alalahanin. Yes, alalahanin. Imprisonment is 6 to 12 years. Tama? And then fine. Okay? Fine is 50,000 to 100,000 pesos. Okay? Yes. So, pwedeng imprisonment, pwedeng fine, or pwedeng parehas. Kinulong ka and then magmumulta ka pa. Okay? So, pwedeng either or both imprisonment and fine. Take note that if you are an employee of the commission, if you are a member of the regulatory boards, okay, or one of the regulatory boards, there is an additional penalty, and that is perpetual. Ito na naman si perpetual absolute disqualification from public office. Explain ko lang ha. Perpetual absolute disqualification. Ano ang ibig sabihin yan? Ibig sabihin po, pag sinabi mong perpetual absolute disqualification, even if you have already served your penalties. Like for example, kinulong ka na ng 12 years. Nagbayad ka na din ng 100,000. Pwede ka na ba ulit maging employee ng government? Hindi. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng term na absolute. Gaan. Okay? So ibig sabihin, even if you have served your penalties, even if you have paid, okay, the fine, you are still not allowed to become a public servant. Yes, or a government employee. Okay? Kasi nga, perpetual yan eh. Lifetime ang ibig sabihin ng perpetual. Nakuha? Ayan po. So, yes, masama ito. Huwag nating gagawin ha. Baka maging perpetual ka. Okay? So, number 1, perpetual absolute disqualification from public office. Is that a penalty? Yes. Okay. Next, imprisonment for 12 years. Is that a penalty? Yes, it's a penalty. Fine of 100,000. Yes, that's a penalty. Removal from his or her position. Again, that's a penalty. Okay, so again, of course, you will be removed as an employee of the PRC. Diba? Alangan namang hindi ka i-remove. Okay, so ang correct answer, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are correct. Alright, so moving on. Okay. A registered medical technologist who failed to renew their professional license for a period of 5 consecutive years after due notice will be, ano ang correct answer dyan? Delisted from the roster. Tatanggalin ka po sa listahan ng mga medical technologists sa Pilipinas. Okay, so this is actually provided by a PRC resolution. Kung gusto nyo, i-check nyo yung mga sinasabi ko ha. Pero itong mga to, mahahaba itong mga to. Binibigay ko lang para at least, wala lang, para at least makita nyo. Yes, paulit-ulit ka talaga. Yeah, I know, right? Okay. PRC Resolution numbers 217 series of 1992. Okay? And this is in congruence to Section 3 of your RA 6511. Ang nakalagay po doon, non-renewal of license for 5 consecutive years. Okay? For 5 consecutive years, ano ang magiging tawag sa'yo? You will be regarded as a delinquent professional. Okay? Delinquent ka dyan, ha? Huwag kang nagiging delinquent. Alright? So, ang tawag sa'yo, delinquent professional. So, what will happen to you? You will be suspended and you will be delisted from the roster of registered professionals. Okay? So, I repeat, you will be suspended and you will be delisted from the roster of registered professionals. Alright? So, yan. So, which one is a better answer? Kasi meron din namang nakalagay dyan na suspended indefinitely. So, ang suspension mo is not necessarily indefinite because once you reapply, okay, once you reapply to become part again of the roster, i-consider naman ang iyong application. Okay, so that's why in this case, the best answer would be delisted from the roster. Okay, so in the boards, just like what we always say, you cannot question the question. What you have to do is just to choose the best answer. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin sa proctor, ay ano po, parang mali po yung ano, hindi ka pwedeng mag-ganon-ganon pag board exam. Okay? Yes, kasi sa board exam, meron talagang mga tanong na out of this world. Alright? You cannot ask for specifics in the board exam. Yes, you just have to go with your instinct sometimes kasi nga, parang ano ba naman itong tanong na to? Gaganon ka talaga. Okay? So dito pa lang sa clinical lab, we are already training you, okay, to always choose the best answer. Okay? All right. So which of the following is not a function of the PRC as to the conduct of licensure examinations? So again, nasa Republic Act 8981 po ito. If you're going to look at the different functions of your PRC. Okay, so tignan natin isa-isa. Ang hinahanap natin dito ay not a function. Tama? Okay. Nung 2021 na board exam, ang hilig po nilang magsingit ng not. Napakahilig nilang not. Puro not, ganon. So, dapat pag mag-e-exam ka, you have to highlight already the not. Okay, so that you will not forget about it or you will not neglect it in choosing the correct answer. Okay, so alin ang hindi function? Siyempre, unahin natin yung mga matadali. Number 4, approve the results of licensure examinations. Yes, that's the function of your PRC. Adopt measures to preserve the inviolability of your licensure examinations. Yes. Appoint supervisors and room watchers prior to the conduct of examinations. Yes. Provide schools copies of questions after the conduct of examinations? Yes. Actually, ang PRC, dapat nagbibigay sila sa atin ng mga sample questions. Okay? Ng mga lumabas sa board exam. Yan, nagbibigay sila po dapat. Pero hindi sila nagbibigay kasi kung nagbibigay sila, hindi na sana kami kumukuha or humihingi ng recall question. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, meron ba hindi function ang PRC dyan? Wala. Kasi lahat yan ay functions ng PRC. And so, ang correct answer ay letter A, none of this. Okay? Ayan. Alright. So, before we end with your PRC Modernization Act, let me just discuss your RA 10912. What is RA 10912? This is otherwise referred to as your Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. And when this particular law was passed, naging mandatory. Okay? CPD is now a mandatory requirement for the renewal of your professional identification card. Okay? Pag magre-renew ka ng lisensya, basically, ano ang nire-renew mo? O baka mamaya itanong ko yan. If you are going to renew your license, what are you going to renew? Is it your certificate of registration? Is it your COR? Ano pa ba? Parang yun lang yung alam ko. Is it your COR? Okay. Is it your PRC ID? Ano ang nire-renew natin? COR o PRC ID? PRC ID. Okay? Hindi natin nire-renew ang COR. Naku ha? Pag magre-renew ka, PRC ID po ang nire-renew natin. Professional Identification Card. Naku ha? Ayan. So yung Professional Identification Card natin, how many years is it valid? It's valid up to 3 years. And the validity or the end of validity is what? Your birthday. Di ba? Tama ba? Biglang chinek ko yung aking PRC ID. Okay? Kaya ang PRC, alam po nila ang iyong birthday. So, or kung gusto mong malaman ang birthday ng ka-work mo later on, tingnan mo sa PRC ID niya. So, yung PRC ID niya, meron dyan nakalagay valid until. Di ba? Ay! Yung mukha ako lumalabas. Okay, ganyan. Hindi nyo pala makita kasi naka-blur ako. So, valid until, like for example, yung akin, valid until March 2, 2024. Okay, so kailan ang birthday ko? March 2, 2024. Ako ha, ganun po ang validity ng ating PRC ID. Okay? Ngayon, punta naman tayo sa ilang units ng CPD ang kailangan mo in order to renew your license. Ilan? Ilan po ang kailangan? Pag 60 ang sagot mo, mali ka. Okay? Pag 45 ang sagot mo, mali ka din. Pag 30 ang sagot mo, mali ka pa rin, besh. So, ilan na po ang kailangan? 15 na lang. 15 CPD units na lang po ang kailangan. Why? Because if you're going to look at your CPD law, this actually became very controversial. Diba? Naging super controversial ang CPD. Kasi nga, yung mga seminars and trainings that our professionals have to undergo through, they're very expensive and they became even more expensive nung lumabas ang CPD law. Okay? So, yun yung naging problema doon. Kaya maraming nagreklamo. Bakit naman ang dami-dami namang kailangan? Okay? Diba? Ba't naman ang dami-daming kailangan? So, that's why PRC released a resolution. Kailan? Noong 2019. So, specifically, ano yung PRC resolution na yan? Para ma-check nyo na 15 na lang talaga. Okay, PRC Resolution number 2019-1146. Specifically, if you are going to look at Section 3, nasa Section 3 po yan. This amended the Section 10 of the previous IRR and kung titignan mo sa may paragraph, Section 10.2 paragraph C. Very detailed. Ayan. So, sabi po doon, the various CPD councils shall reduce the required CPD credit units to a minimum which shall not be more than, hindi pwedeng mas marami sa 15, as provided for under applicable laws. Okay? So, in short, ilan ang kailangan? 15 CPD units. Okay? 15 CPD units na lang ang kailangan po. Alright? Okay. Next. Wow, bumibilis tayo. Kasi sabi sa akin ni Luis, Isang question, 30 minutes. Ngayon, nakailang question tayo, 30 minutes, di ba? Very good. Hindi, matagal talaga yung 5527 at saka yung clinical lab law kasi you should know these laws by heart. Okay, kaya matagal talaga yon. Yes, nag-explain ka naman. Okay, sige na nga. Laboratory management. Ayan. Naku, marami ding tanong dito. Actually, sometimes in the boards, mas marami pang tanong sa labman kaysa sa batas or sa even sa histopath. Okay, yeah, sometimes mas marami pa dito. Like for example, ano ang purpose ng CCTV sa lab? O, saan kaya natin yun mababasa, di ba? Parang wala namang reference na nagsasabi kung ano ang purpose ng CCTV. Okay, meron ba? O, ano ang purpose ng CCTV? Sa laboratory. Number 1, para makita mo kung sino ang tama. Number 2, para makita mo kung sino ang utos ng utos. Mga ganun ba? Number 3, or letter C, para makita mo kung sinong nag-uuwi ng gamit. Okay? Or letter D, for security purposes. O, diba? Sometimes mga ganun po. Lumabas na yan, yung CCTV. Tawa kayo ng tawad dyan, ha? Lumabas yan noong 2021. Promise, lumabas po yan. Ano ang purpose ng CCTV? For security purposes in the laboratory. Okay? Hindi para magmosang kung sino ang nag-uuwi or sino ang hindi nagtatrabaho. Hindi ganun. Okay? For security purposes po yan. So may mga ganong tanong na yung parang minsan mapapaisip ka talaga kung ano yung sagot. Pero huwag kang masyadong mag-isip sa board exam. Kasi sa board exam talaga, isang tanong, isang sagot. Yeah, isang tanong, isang sagot sa board exam. Dapat hindi ka nag-overthink. Meron nga minsan magbabasa ka ng parang isang paragraph. Tapos sa dulo, napakasimple lang ng tanong. Okay? Minsan ganun sila sa board exam. Ewan ko sutil din tong mga examiners natin Okay? Para maubusan ka ng oras, mga ganyan. Wow, siniraan. Okay. Laboratory management. Ano yung mga kailangan nating alam na concepts? Number 1, quality improvement. Of course, we will discuss this in clinical chemistry. You know, advice ko lang sa inyo kasi humingi din sila sa akin ng advice. Ma'am, paano po ba pumasa sa UBCL? Syempre, 'di ba? It's parang there is really no secret. Wala, hindi naman sikreto 'yun Una, mag-aral ka, 'di ba? Pangalawa, dapat mag-aral ka ulit. Okay? Ganito ang ginagawa ko noon nung intern ako. What I do is, 'di ba, magbibigay ng I don't know kung magiging effective to sa inyo. Magbibigay ng coverage, CCI. Actually sa amin noon hindi sila nagbibigay ng coverage. Okay? Kaya parang saan galing 'yun? Ba't may gano'n na tanong? Mga ganun. Pero okay lang. Okay lang kasi masaya naman ako nung intern ako. So ang gawin nyo is, do not try to finish the entire coverage if you cannot finish it. Okay? 'Di ba? Kasi mas mahihirapan ka ngayon, mas wala kang maaalala kung itatry mong i-finish lahat nung binigay na coverage. Okay? Better pag paunti-unti kang natututo. So, kunwari, nung quiz 1, ang na-review mo lang ay history. Okay lang yan. Basta as long as alam na alam mo yung history. 'Di ba? Para pag nag-pre-1 ka na o hindi mo na re-reviewin si history kasi alam na alam mo na siya. Okay? So pagdating ng pre-1, ang na-review mo lang ay history, labman, ano pa? Sige, dagdagan naman natin. Kasi alangan namang di ka nag-effort, 'di ba? 5527, clinical lab law. So yung mga topics lang na yun ang na-review mo. Okay lang din, yes. Pero syempre dapat mas maganda kung na-review mo lahat. Pero yun nga yung sinasabi ko, parang pag i-compare mo, okay, pag i-compare mo na isisiksik mo lahat ng topics, okay, mas wala kang maaalala. Mas maganda na i-review mo ng mabuti yung isang topic para na-review mo na siya. Alam mo na yung topic na yon, hindi mo na siya babalikan. Okay? And then another, every subject begins with quiz 1. Diba? Every subject begins with quiz 1 and of course ends with your post 2 exam. So kung kunwari natapos na tayo ng medtech laws, hindi masyadong maganda yung mga scores natin. Kalimutan mo na yon. Because if you are going to carry, diba? If you're going to carry yung burden mo, yung frustrations mo sa isang subject, lahat ng subjects maapektuhan. Until such time na yung pinakahuling subject, sobrang burdened ka na. Diba? Sobrang burdened ka na. Dami ko ng RS. Mga ganon. At saka wag niyong isipin na RS kayo agad. Kasi meron pa naman tayong kompre. Okay? Yes. Laban lang ng laban. Kaya nyo yan. Aha. Kaya nyo yan. Wag niyong wag kayong wag kayong mapapagod talaga. Nakakapagod naman talaga siya, pero wag nyo na lang kasing isiping nakakapagod kasi mas lalo kayong mapapagod. Okay, ayan. All right. Talk with your co-interns pag nandito kayo sa lab, ganyan. Ilabas nyo yung mga iniipon nyo diyan sa loob nyo, okay? Iiyak nyo yan, charot. Iyak. Baka mamaya dami nang umiiyak dito, okay? Yeah, take the journey with the right mindset. Okay, yes. Okay, ayan. So, hindi marami naman kayong makukuha siguro sa medtech laws. Pag nag-aral kayo, marami kayong makukuha, sinasabi ko na. Kaya nga itong mga mga top notchers natin, feeling ko marami na silang makukuha. Okay. Una, quality improvement. All right? So when we say quality improvement, ayan, nagsingit na naman kasi ako ng mga kung ano-ano. So, mag-iisang oras na. Okay, quality improvement. Pag sinabi mong quality improvement, it goes beyond your quality assurance. Ibang level ang quality improvement. It goes beyond monitoring, detecting, and preventing errors. In quality improvement, you want to achieve new levels of performance. Okay? So, kumbaga, ina-adjust mo yung standard mo doon sa laboratory if you are to follow quality improvements. Okay? Yes. So, kunwari, ang standard natin ngayon is, ang turnaround time is 3 hours. Pag pinasok mo ang quality improvement, ay, nag-i-improve siya. So, next year, magiging 2 hours na lang ang turnaround time. Okay, next year, nagiging 1 hour na lang ang turnaround time. And then sa next year, 30 minutes na lang ang turnaround time. So that is quality improvement. Okay, so it achieves new levels of performance not otherwise realized through your quality control procedures. And one of the most important goals of your quality improvement is to address chronic problems in the laboratory. Okay, so yan. So that's quality improvement. Ibang level po yan. Quality assurance, on the other hand, tinanong na itong mga to ha, itong mga sinasabi ko, tinanong na po ito. Like for example, quality assurance, tinanong po yan noong 2021. So when we say quality assurance, this pertains to the totality of testing. Okay, so it is the complete system in creating and following procedures and policies that aims to provide the most reliable results. Okay, yes. So yun ang quality assurance. And if you're going to look at the coverage of your quality assurance, it covers the different phases of testing, from pre-analytical, analytical, to your post-analytical phase. Okay, yan ang quality assurance. So there is a specific, di ba? Meron pang mas specific sa quality assurance, and that is your quality control. Quality control is part of quality assurance. Okay, so pag sinabi natin quality control, this is the aspect of quality assurance that is used to assess the analytical phase of testing. Okay, so under po ng QC. Ay, under po ng QC. Under po ng analytical phase ang QC. Yes, and of course, I don't know kung narinig nyo na to, pero lagi kong sinasabi ang proficiency testing. Okay? Saan? Saang phase ng testing makikita ang proficiency testing? Saan? Sa analytical. Okay? Because proficiency testing, according to Henry, is your external quality assurance. Tama? It's your external quality assurance. In short, dito papasok yung EQUAS, EQUAP. Ay, parang nabanggit ko na to, no? Sa previous na video, nabanggit ko na pala. Okay, wag niyong kakalimutan to ha, proficiency testing. Kasi nung narinig namin yung tanong, proficiency testing, yung parang ano, ang unang inisip namin is yung mga semi-seminars, trainings, pero hindi pala yun, Besh. EQUAS, EQUAP pala ang proficiency testing. Okay, so part po yan ng external quality control. Okay, ayan. So don't forget. Under laboratory management, we also have laboratory safety. Okay? Merong tanong yung mga nag-exam nung January. Saan daw nilalagay ang empty na aerosol can? Ang kulay natin nilalagay ang empty aerosol can. Saan? Sa red. Okay, red po. As per DOH Manual on Healthcare Wastes. I-share ko sa inyo yung manual para syempre 'di ba marami sa atin yung ano, yung as in sipag na sipag magbasa. 'Di ba? Yung lahat ng pages talagang binabasa nila. Okay. Sige, i-share ko sa inyo yung manual. Kasi, alam na natin, yung manual na yun ang pina-follow ng examiners. Akala nila, hindi natin mahahanap pa. Nahanap natin, guys. Okay, i-share ko sa inyo. Alright, next. Pwede na nating sagutin yung mga tanong. What laboratory management concept aims to achieve new goals of performance by addressing chronic problems? Quality improvement. Okay? Kasi nga sabi ko, ibang level ang quality improvement. Okay? Ini-improve mo talaga yung mga current policies mo sa laboratory. Okay? Pag sinabi mo kasing quality assurance, i-meet mo lang yung standards eh. You are just simply going to meet the standards of quality. Pag sinabi mong quality improvement, ay hindi, ayoko, gusto ko ibang level. Ganun. Okay? Ganun pag quality improvement. Alright, next question. Good laboratory wants to improve its policies in order to provide better services to its patients. In order to do this, good laboratory adopted policies already implemented by excellent laboratory. What management concept is shown in this situation? Yung nagko-compare ka ng procedures or policies, anong concept yun? Benchmarking. Okay, so you are going to compare your policies to the policies of other laboratories. Benchmarking. Alam nyo, in management, ginagawa talaga yan. Like for example, nung nagkaroon ng reformatting ng syllabus o yung mga ibang schools ng medical technology, yes, they were comparing, uy, anong gagawin mo sa syllabus ng HIMA? Ganito ba? Uy, that's benchmarking. You are going to compare. Okay, your procedures, your policies, your guidelines, the things that you do in your institution to another institution. Okay, ayan. Alright, so benchmarking po ang tawag dyan. Okay, ito na si Scarlett. Scarlett Overkill. The chief medical technologist of the laboratory asked Tefiti. Kilala niyo ba si Tefiti? The clinical chemistry section head to come up with policies to improve her section. What type of authority is exercised by Scarlett Overkill? Mga favorite ko kasing mga cartoon characters to mga to, kaya ginamit ko sila. Okay? Ilan ang types ng authority? 3. Okay, so we have 3 types of authority. First, we have line authority, Next, we have staff authority. And then lastly, we have your functional authority. Okay, yes. So, in my case, ginawan ko lang siya ng, anong pangalan ko? Anong pangalan ko tuloy? Anong pangalan nito? Ginawan ko lang siya ng mga situations. Okay? Kasi yun ang napansin ko sa board exam ng medtech laws. Ginagawan na ngayon nila ng situation, nagiging situational na siya. Okay, line authority muna tayo. Ayan. So when we say line authority, this involves supervisory responsibility. Responsibility. Okay. Line authority, this type of authority is assigned or delegated. Okay, through formal means. Assigned through formal delegation of authority. Ano ang ibig sabihin pag assigned through formal delegation of authority? You were appointed. Okay, you were selected for that particular position. So yun ang ibig sabihin ng assigned through formal delegation of authority. Okay, what are examples of line authority in the laboratory? Giving orders to subordinates. Okay, like for example, yung chief medtech, inutusan niya yung section head. Alright, come up with policies to improve your section. Okay, meron bang authority si chief medtech over yung section head? Yes, meron. And that is by virtue of line authority. You know why? Kung bakit siya tinawag na line authority? Kasi the line authority is represented by your organizational chart. So kung syempre kung sino yung nasa taas, siya yung pinaka-boss, 'di ba? And then there is a line that connects the boss to the subordinates. Okay, kaya siya tinawag na line authority po. So it is supervisory responsibility. Like for example, ano ba? Kunwari, andito ako sa department na to. And then, yung head ng ibang department, inutusan niya ako. Okay, inutusan niya akong gumawa ng something. May authority ba siya? May line authority ba siya over sa akin? Wala. Kasi we belong to the two different departments. Wala kaming connection sa isa't isa. Okay? So, wala siyang line authority. Nakuha? Ayan. And pag ganun ang situation, doon na papasok yung tinatawag nating staff authority at saka functional authority. Alright. So, ganito ha. Pag sinabi mong line authority, dapat they belong to the same institution, to the same department. Okay? Yes. Alright. Next, we have staff authority. Pag sinabi mong staff authority, this pertains to the right to advise. Okay? Or influence. The right to advise or influence. And then take note that those with line authority, right to advise or influence those, dapat pala magkasama ito, those with line authority by providing recommendations in improving departments. Okay, so I repeat pag sinabi mong staff authority, this is the right to advise or influence those with line authority by providing recommendations in improving departments. All right, like for example, yung HR. Okay? Is HR a different department from the UBCL? Yes. Magkaiba, di ba? However, si HR, pwedeng meron siyang staff authority doon sa UBCL. Okay? Like for example, if the Human Resource Department wants to develop, yes, develop talaga, the medical technologists working in the laboratory by providing trainings and seminars. Okay, so say for example, oh Ma'am Jessa, mag-train ka sa ganito, sabi ni HR. Anong tawag sa authority na yon? Staff authority. Okay, because HR has the right to influence, diba? To influence other departments in order to improve those departments. Okay? Ano pa ang ibang example ng staff authority? So say for example, yung CPDO. Yes, CPDO. Okay, yung campus planning natin. Okay, in-advisean niya si Chief Medtech. Sabi niya, you know, you have to improve your anong tawag dito? The design of your laboratory. Okay, so we can expand your laboratory by doing this. O, ano ang ginagawa ni CPDO? To advise. Diba? Advice, ina-advisean niya yung head ng si Chief Medtech na ganito ang gawin natin sa laboratory para ma-improve natin siya. Okay? Yes. So say for example, si HR, sabi niya, you hire more medtechs kasi maraming pera tayo. Okay? Kaya pa nating magdagdag ng medtech para hindi mahaba yung pila dyan lagi sa UBCL. Okay? So what is that? Right to advise. Staff authority pa din siya. Okay, nakuha? Ayan. So staff authority ha, basta advise or influence. Okay, the right to advise or influence. Another, functional authority. So this is a limited type of authority. Limited authority in which this one, baba ko na lang ha, gives a person power, yes, over a particular function. Yes, alam nyo ang classic na example dito, and I think tinanong ko na siya. Okay, gives a person power over a particular function. A very good example is when you receive a requisition form from the physician. Okay, so ito, requisition form. Ano ang requisition form? Request form, di ba? From the physician. Ano ang type ng authority na meron si physician over the medical technology? Hindi naman pwedeng line authority. Kasi si physician, hindi naman siya part ng organizational chart ng laboratory. Di ba? Hindi naman pwedeng staff authority kasi the physician is not advising or influencing. Di ba? For the improvement of the laboratory. Hindi naman, di ba, pag nakatanggap ka ng request form, hindi naman yon for the improvement of the laboratory. Ano ang ibig sabihin nun pag request form? Ibig sabihin po nun, you are, okay, required to perform the test. Tama? So ano yung functional authority? Ano yung function na tinatawag doon? Yung performance of the test. That's the function that is required of you by the physician. Tama ba? Yes. So pagka-receive mo nung request form, you have to perform the test. Okay? That is an example of a functional authority. And then it says here, functional authority is limited authority. Why? Because if you have done the function already, if you have performed the function, then the authority cease to exist. Mawawala na yung authority kasi tapos mo na yung trabahong pinapagawa sa'yo. Nakuha? Nakuha ba? That's functional authority. Okay? Kaya siya tinawag na limited authority kasi hindi naman forever may authority si physician over you. So, kunwari, ang nakalagay dun sa request form is urinalysis. Okay? And then, pinerform mo si urinalysis. So, after ng performance mo ng urinalysis at nag-release ka na ng result or meron na yung result, then the function ends there or the functional authority ends there. Okay, yes. So, that is an example of a functional authority. What else? So, say for example, you were required by, sino pa bang ibang mga departments dito? HR, sino pa yung mga ano sa atin, ma'am? Say for example, owner, yung guidance, sige, yung guidance office. So, yung guidance office, ni-require niya lahat ng employees to attend a particular Ala, nawala yung internet ko, ma'am. O, kaya yan na. You are, ano. Ay, ala, lumaki yung mukha ko. Nag-stop yung train mo. Ay, nag-stop na doon. Pero ano naman, recording in progress ko na naman. Oo. Hala, I don't know. Nagtuloy kaya yun? OMG ah. Oo ma'am, kasi ano eh. Oo, naka-recording siya. Okay, yes. O, so nawala. So, ganun siya. O, yan. So, kunwari, yung guidance office, ni-require niya na mag-attend kami ng, or mag-submit na lang. Mag-submit kami ng list ng students who are supposed to undergo mock interview. Okay, so take note na yung guidance office hindi naman siya part ng organizational chart ng UBCL. So say for example, kung ako yung inutusan, magsasubmit ako ng names ng mga interns for mock interview. So after I have submitted the names, then the function ends there, or the functional authority of the guidance ends there. Okay, so ganun siya. Alright, so I might be giving ulit, anong pangalan nito? Pwedeng situational ulit ang ibigay ko when it comes to this particular topic. Okay? Next question, influence exerted through the control of support services such as a safety officer or quality assurance coordinator, which provides recommendations to the manager and set policies, is a type of authority known as, anong authority ito? Pag nakita mo yung recommendation, agad-agad na yan, staff authority. Okay? Yes. Alright, next. In laboratory management, budgeting is part of. Okay? Ano ba yung mga phases ng laboratory management? Diba? Ilan yan? 4 yata. Okay, yes, ata talaga. Planning, okay, and then organizing, what else? Directing, and then lastly, we have controlling. Okay, so these are the different phases, di ba? Whenever we come up with a work plan, or whenever we come up with a work plan or a project, ito usually yung sinusundan natin, okay? Yes, under the concept of your laboratory management. All right, so first is planning. So ano ang kailangan mo pag magpaplano ka? Plano ko na, besh. Okay, so first you need to perform needs assessment. I don't know kung tinanong ko na to. Needs assessment. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng needs assessment? You are going to evaluate the current situation. Diba? What are the needs of the laboratory? Ganun lang yan kasimple. Kaya nga siya tinawag na needs assessment. You are going to evaluate the needs of the laboratory. You are going to evaluate the current situation of the laboratory. Okay? So under planning, you have to come up with your goals and objectives. Okay, as well as determine the duration of your project or your work plan. So lahat yan ay nasa planning. Okay? Next, organizing. So ano ang ibig sabihin ng organizing? So this involves establishing relationships between and among personnel or departments. Okay? Personnel or departments. Okay? So in short, when you try to establish relationships between and among personnel and departments, what are you actually doing? Ano ba ang prepare mo pag organizing? Ang prepare mo ay yung ating organizational chart. 'Di ba? Ang prepare mo po ay yung organizational chart. Okay? So like for example, sa MTIA, di ba meron kayong iba't ibang committees? Right? So sino sa committee na to? O sino yung mga members niya? So you are going to select now the individuals or the personnel who are supposed to do something. Okay, so what would be the connection of this personnel to the head of the section or to the head of the laboratory, for example? Okay, ayan. So those are under organizing. So next, we move on to your directing. So pag sinabi nating directing, so this involves leadership or supervision. Okay, leadership or supervision. So that's under directing. So actually, directing, it comes hand in hand with the last one, which is your controlling. Okay? So pag sinabi nating controlling, so this is when you give, yes, this is when you give specific instructions. All right? And then, this also involves monitoring the progress of your work plan or of your project. Nakuha? Ayan. So that's part of controlling. And then lastly is budgeting. Okay? So ang budgeting po, part po yan ng controlling. Yes. Yes. Because when we talk about your budget, or the or the financial aspect of your project or your work plan, it will limit what you can do. Diba? It will limit what you can do or what a particular section can do. Okay? So kaya part po siya ng controlling. Okay? So in this case, in laboratory management, budgeting is part of controlling. Okay, so budgeting is part of controlling. Okay. Okay, if you are you can read the inserts. Kung wala kayong ginagawa. Okay? Pwede kayong magbasa ng insert. Next, what numerical value indicates a serious hazard in the NFPA symbol? Okay, so kung titignan natin yung NFPA symbol natin, hindi ito nawawala sa board exam. Okay, yes. So for the consecutive board exams that were given already, laging merong tanong about NFPA symbol. Okay, so that's why it's important that you have to, yes, know your NFPA symbol by heart. So when we say NFPA symbol, this is composed of how many quadrants? We have 4 quadrants. And you have to know the location of each quadrant. Kasi in the board exam, wala namang ibibigay na picture ng NFPA symbol. So like for example, when we talk about reactivity, okay, reactivity or stability. Asan ang reactivity or stability? It is the right yellow. Diba? Right yellow quadrant. So that's your reactivity or stability. All right. The next quadrant, we have your white. So white is your special or specific hazard. It is located at the bottom portion of your NFPA symbol. So it is the bottom white quadrant. Okay, for your specific or special hazard. Next, we have your health hazard. So health hazard is where in the left, it is the left blue. Left blue quadrant. Okay, that's your health hazard. And then of course, on top, we have your red quadrant, which indicates your fire or flammability hazard. Okay, fire or flammability hazard. So take note that in addition to the 4 quadrants that we have, you also have to know the different representations of your numeric values. Okay, so in general, we make use of the following numerical interpretation. So 0 for low or minimal hazard, 1 for slight hazard, 2 for moderate hazard, 3 for serious hazard, and then 4 for extreme hazard. Okay, yes. So in addition to that, take note that when we talk about your health hazard, meron po siyang additional na interpretation. So 0 indicates a normal material, 1 indicates slightly hazardous, and then number 2 hazardous, Number 3, extreme danger. And then number 4, deadly. Okay? Yan. Alright, so to answer the question, ano yung question natin? What numerical value indicates a serious hazard? The correct answer is 3. Okay, so we have 3 for your serious hazard. Okay, next question. Which of the following would cause, and I think this is the last one for your laboratory management. Guys, ganito yung mga tanong. Ganyan. So like for example, itong tanong na to, hindi mo ito mababasa sa kahit anong reference. Okay? Which of the following would cause the most concern in limiting test specimen processing? So you just have to analyze the question as well as the given choices. Alright, so sabi niya, most concern. So alin, ibig sabihin, alin ang makaka-apekto ng pinaka-sobra? Yes, ng pinaka-sobra sa laboratory, particularly sa pag-test ng ating mga samples or specimens. Okay? Letter A, temporary shortage of staffing. Okay, are you going to be very much concerned about it? Take note, it is only temporary. Okay, so ibig sabihin, hindi naman siya forever na may shortage doon sa staffing. Siguro, say for example, nagkataon na absent yung isa or naka-quarantine yung isa, so on and so forth. So that is temporary. Okay, yes. And then next, temporary absence of a technical supervisor. So kung makita mo yung term na temporary, tanggalin mo na siya. Kasi ang hinahanap nga natin is most concerned. Diba? Yes. Ito, temporary lang naman itong mga to. So, ibig sabihin, kunwari, pag natapos na yung quarantine ng mga staff, wala ka ng shortage. Kung hindi na absent si technical supervisor, then this will already be remedied. Diba? So, hindi mo na siya problema. So, ang matitira lang na probable na answers dyan ay si letter B at saka si letter C. Ano si letter B? Lack of qualified personnel to perform analysis. Ano si letter C? Minimum supply of reagents. Kasi ang tagal kong tagal ko kasi magsalita eh. Hindi ko alam kung mabagal ba ako magsalita or ano. Parang hindi naman ako mabagal magsalita. Okay, ayan. So, nawawala po yung net dito sa laboratory kaya napuputol siya. Oh, parang yan, nawawala na naman siya, besh. Wala na, na-clear ko na lahat. Ano na yung tatanong ko sa post? Recording in progress. Hala, grabe naman. Hindi ko na gagawin yun, yung mag-uulit ng buong Oh, nag-uulit sila. Okay, so yan. Asa na tayo? Alin yung natira? Lack of qualified personnel to perform analysis. And then yung isa ay minimum supply of reagents. So alin ang masusolusyonan mo ng mas mabilis? Minimum supply of reagents. Kasi you are just going to buy more reagents as compared to if you are lacking qualified personnel in the laboratory. So remember that in order to make your personnel competent, they have to undergo training, seminars, workshops, so on and so forth. Diba? Like, hindi naman yan agad-agad na matatapos. Hindi naman yan araw-araw na may training. Like, for example, HIV. Araw-araw ba na nagpapa-HIV training ang San Lazaro? Hindi naman. Diba? Okay. So, that's why ang pinakamahirap na solusyonan would be, of course, the correct answer in this case. So in this case, that is your lack of qualified personnel to perform analysis. Another, ito parang siya you can use your experience in the laboratory in order to answer this question. So say for example, which of the following labels should not be, parang ba't ba ako nag-i-English? Lahat naman kayo Tagalog. Wait. So, alin sa mga wait lang. Which of the following information is not part of sample labeling? Okay, yon. So, which of the following information is not part of your sample label? Okay, ano? Name. Name, ang choices ay name, age, ano pa ba yung mga choices na binigay? Name, age, patient number, date. Alin ang hindi kasama? Name, age, patient number, date. Alin ang hindi mo nilalagay sa sample na label? Age. Yeah, very good. Age. Okay? Nilalagay nyo ba yung age ng ating pasyente doon? Say for example, pag evacuated tube, nilalagay ba natin ang age? Okay? So kung titignan mo, pwede namang lahat ng information na yon nandun sa label. Pero again, you have to choose the best. Okay? So like for example, here in the laboratory, ang nilalagay namin ay name. Actually, kahit patient number lang eh. Okay? Name, patient number, and the date. Importante yun sa sample. Diba? However, yung age, hindi naman siya masyadong importante na nakalagay siya doon sa label ng sample mismo. So remember, your request form is different from the label that you put in your sample. Diba? Magkaiba yon. So yung age, talagang kailangan siya sa requisition form. Nilalagay talaga yan sa makeshift. But we are talking here about the label on your sample. Okay, yes. Label sa sample natin. So, importante ba ang name? Oo naman. Importante ba yung patient number? Oo naman. Importante ba yung date? Yes, it is important. Okay, so yung age po ang pwedeng hindi kasama sa sample label. Okay, mga ganun, besh. Okay, next. Yay! Ilan ba to? 7719. Marami ba to? Ay, konti lang. Oo, ma'am, nawawala. Tapos na si Miss bilis niya naman. Wait lang Alright, so next we have RA 7719, otherwise referred to as your National Blood Services Act of 1994. So this was Bang, ingay ni Okay, alam niyo nagre-record ako, Bel. Ingay siya dyan. Okay. 7719 is your National Blood Services Act of 1994. This was signed or yes, approved on May 5, 1994. So this is an act promoting voluntary blood donation, providing for an adequate supply of safe blood, regulating blood banks, and providing penalties for violating thereof. Ang haba naman ng 7719. Okay. Sige. The question is, as stated in Administrative Order number 36 series of 1994, funding for the National Voluntary Blood Services Program may be provided by the following except. So ano yung correct? Yung except. Diba? Hindi pa din? Amen. Sige, ayaw pa din? Ilan ang difference? Wait lang Ganon? Ang layo masyado. Ulitin mo ulit, last one na yan. Tapos pag ayaw pa din ako na. Okay? Alright, so as stated in Administrative Order number 36 series of 1994. Okay. So alin ang hindi daw nagpro-provide ng funding? Tama? Yes. So actually, funding, this is also stipulated in Section 5. Nasa Section 5 po ito ng RA. Okay, it is stipulated in Section 5 of RA 7719. Okay, so ang nakalagay po doon, DOH, di ba, shall provide funds for your National Voluntary Blood Services Program. So in addition to your DOH, sino ang kasama niya? Kasama po niya si PCSO. Okay? Kasama po niya si PAGCOR. Kasama niya po yan. And lastly, kasama po niya si Duty Free Shop. Okay, ayan. So these are the agencies that provide funding for your National Voluntary Blood Services. So una, DOH, PCSO, PAGCOR, and Duty Free. Kasama po si Duty Free Shop or si Duty Free Philippines. Okay? So the funding for your National Voluntary Blood Services Program, this was reiterated by Administrative Order number 36 series of 1994. So ano yung correct na hinahanap natin? Yung exempt. And in short, ang correct dito ay DSWD. Hindi po siya kasama. So only 4 is correct. Okay, so only 4 is correct. All right, the following are needed for the preliminary testing of donors exempt. So remember we are talking of testing your donor. Hindi natin itetest yung donated blood. Sino ang itetest mo dito? Yung donor. Okay? So this has something to do with the physical examination. Tama? Physical examination or the examination that is done in our donors, okay, prior to blood collection. So ano ba yung mga tinitignan natin sa ating donors? Una, ano ang titignan mo? Weight. Diba? Titignan mo ang weight niya. What else? Titignan mo kung may fever ba siya. Tama? So kailangan mo ba si clinical thermometer? Yes. For temperature checking. What else? Titignan mo ang kanyang blood pressure. So ano ang ginagamit natin for your blood pressure? Sphygmo manometer. Okay? And then, kailangan mo ding i-test ang kanyang hemoglobin level. Ano ang ginagamit natin pang test ng hemoglobin level? Diba? Nakikita nyo to class pag may mga blood donations, ganun. We have your copper sulfate solution. Ito yung kulay blue na nasa beaker. If you have attended already blood donation, so kung nag-blood donation na tayo, makikita nyo doon, may beaker, tapos merong laman na kulay blue na solution. So that's your copper sulfate solution. Uy, dinidiscuss din to sa Himawa. Para ano? Yung ano nga, kulay blue siya, tapos papatakan mo ng dugo. Tapos titignan mo kung mag-float or magsisink. Ano ang hindi kailangan? Centrifuge. Oo, that's your copper sulfate solution. Okay? Yes, alam na nila dito. Alright, sorry guys, kasi nawawala yung net dito. Okay, so ang hindi ang pan ko is UB employee wifi. Tapos biglang bukas nagaganyan siya. Oh my gosh. Naka-record pa rin kaya ito? Please, wag ka naman ng ano dyan. Okay, ayan. So, di ba? So, kailangan siya, yes, kailangan siya sa hemoglobin determination. So, ito yung ano, yung magpapatak ka ng dugo and then you are going to wait if the drop of blood sinks or floats. Okay, so yan. So, this will give you an estimation of the hemoglobin level of the patient. So, kailangan mo ba si copper sulfate? Yes. Okay, alin ang hindi mo kailangan? Si clinical centrifuge. Okay, yes. So siya po ang hindi natin kailangan. Alright, so yan. I don't know if you were able to have, may rotation ba kayo sa blood banking? O, diba? Yan. So kung ano yung natutunan natin doon, pwede naman natin i-apply. Okay? Sa ating mga questions. Alright, next question. During screening, a blood unit was found out to be reactive for hepatitis B antigen, or HB-Sag. Which of the following is the best course of action? A. Send the sample to the Research Institute of Tropical Medicine for confirmation. B. Discard the blood unit following strict protocols required by the DOH. C. Expose the blood unit to ultraviolet radiation and label as HB-Sag reactive. D. Any of this may be done by the medical technologist. Ano ang ginagawa pag ganito? Sinesend po natin yung blood units, okay, or yung blood sample na na-collect mo dun sa blood unit sa RITM for confirmation. So remember that when you discard a blood unit, dapat confirmed siya. Okay? A blood unit that has been confirmed to contain TTI or, TTI pathogen. Ano ang TTI? Hindi na nga ako magdadaldal. As in, ayaw pa din. Pasok yan kahapon na. Ilan? Malayo? Ano yung minimum normal? Yung isa nga eh. Dalawa yan eh. Oo. Ano yung normal? 30 to 47. Ano? Ala. Ay, ang ilit. Sabi ko. Ang velocity ito. Kaya, technical ba na sa gawa? Sorry. Ay, hindi. Nilagyan lang namin yung mag-stack. See? Okay, hello. Siyempre, nawalan na naman ako ng internet. Uy, hindi yan tansya-tansya, be! 1 ml tapos 4 ml. Maggamit kayo ng pipette and then blue tips. Alam kung nagre-record ba to or ano. Hello, nagre-record kaya ito mga besh. Oh my God, stop ko na. Stop na na. Oh, nag-progress na siya, be. Baka mamaya. Last na tong question na to. Okay, yes. So ano nang gagawin kasi, Ma'am Gili, para matapos na tong question na to. You have to send the sample to RITM for confirmation. You know, parang favorite din nila ang NRL for TTI at saka STI. Okay? Kasi nga medyo malilito yung ito yung medyo nakakalito, okay, sa mga national reference laboratories natin. So take note, pag kunwari HB-Sag positive pero blood unit siya, saan siya isesend? Sa RITM. Okay, HB-Sag positive na patient sample, San Lazaro. Okay, nakuha. Ayan. So please do not forget. So ganun mo ako niloloko tapos mawawala ka.